Topic 1. Headlines reflect a market and geopolitical jolt after Trump's Iran speech. President Trump warned in a national address that he would strike Iran very hard within the next 2 to 3 weeks, saying the mission is nearly accomplished, but giving no clear endpoint, which raised fears of escalation. Oil spiked sharply, reports of WTI up about 13%, WTI near $130, Brent in the $109 range. The Strait of Hormuz saw near-halted tanker traffic, affecting roughly 20% of seaborne trade, and reopening could take days to weeks, even after any ceasefire. Global stocks and bonds showed acute volatility, airlines and travel names hit, energy stocks rallying, while investors reevaluate U.S. and global exposure, and many deals were paused. Family offices' direct investments fell about 25% in March to roughly 39 deals, though remaining activity skews toward mega deals. Higher oil raises inflation and weakens prospects for Fed rate cuts. Iran continued retaliatory actions, and the overall risk outlook depends on developments over the coming weeks. Topic 2. SpaceX confidentially filed for an IPO. Reports say SpaceX submitted a confidential IPO filing with the SEC, with public valuations cited between $1.25 trillion and $1.75 trillion, and potential proceeds in the tens to hundreds of billions, reported ranges around $5 to $75 billion, or roughly $50 to $75 billion in some outlets. The company has grown via reusable rockets and Starlink, recently merged parts with xAI, and is pitching government contracts, recurring Starlink revenue, Starship development, and an ambitious space-based AI data center concept as value drivers. The filing would begin SEC review and could lead to a public registration and roadshow ahead of a possible June-July listing. Governance is likely to feature multi-class voting favoring Elon Musk, and key risks include Starship delays, technical and economic challenges for space data centers, and broader market and geopolitical volatility. Even the filing alone boosted space and satellite equities and ETFs, with strong expected demand from retail and institutions. Topic 3. Financial stress in private markets, capped redemptions, stalled the offices, and private credit questions. Large managers saw sudden redemption pressure. Blue Owl's 2 funds, OCEAT $36 billion reporting scale. User data said $36 billion, but text cites $36 billion to avoid error. Allstate reported sizes received redemption requests of about 21.9% and 40.7% in Q1, and applied quarterly gates of 5% to both funds to manage liquidity. The wave of redemptions was driven in part by investor concerns over AI-related uncertainty in software exposures within private credit and BDC portfolios, and managers typically rely on quarterly redemption limits to avoid forced sales of illiquid assets. Some firms, e.g. Blackstone, have at times accepted excess redemptions or used discounts and taker offers, while KKR partially limited and fulfilled only about 80% of certain redemption requests. Although aggregate net outflows were contained in some cases, the episode highlights renewed investor scrutiny of valuation, liquidity, and borrower credit quality in private credit. Family offices cut direct deals by about 25% in March, shifting to fewer but larger mega investments, and the sector may see more liquidity controls, discounts, and emphasis on portfolio diversification and lender risk management. Topic 4. Eli Lilly opposes a drug pricing bill while FDA approves oral GLP-1. Foundayo, Lilly CEO Dave Ricks said the company will fight efforts to codify into law a most favored nation-style price agreement with the administration, arguing that legislative codification could introduce unforeseen provisions that harm innovation and drug development. At the same time, the FDA approved Lilly's oral GLP-1 obesity drug, or Forglipron, Foundayo, which in trials produced roughly 12 to 15% weight loss, had predominantly gastrointestinal side effects, and carries a boxed warning about thyroid C-cell tumors. Lilly plans to ship via Lilly Direct beginning April 6 and expand to